Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Covington Board of Education to order. Ms. Egan, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Evelyn?
Here.
Mr. Gastrite?
Here.
Ms. Covington?
Here.
Ms. Williams? Here. Mr. Hack?
Present. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here in person. Those watching at home, happy first week of school. All our students, teachers, parents, and community. It's an exciting first couple of days. Ms. Egan, do we have any public input? Great. I'm going to ask for unanimous consent of the board to move individual approval item 19 up to the beginning of the agenda. Is there any opposed to that? So that's where we'll move it. It is the Bavarian Flats Payment in lieu of taxes agreement with Maris LLC and Urban Sites Capital Advisors. And Mr. Hughes is here, their attorney. Several folks from both companies are here. I'm going to open it up to questions. If we have some questions from the board, whoever needs to answer that question, if you just come up to the microphone here, just introduce yourself for us, and then we'll kind of go from there. Any questions, Mr. Gastrite?
Sorry, I was thinking maybe there would be a presentation, but I guess the only question, I mean, I think the usual things I go through are, is this property already have housing? It doesn't. So we're not replacing this with new housing. The other question is if we're getting taxes on whatever was there before, we're not. So this is new income of sort for us. And I would say the last piece of it, is it going to increase? I mean, we're in the kid business, so is it going to increase the amount of kids who come into the district? And we see that as a positive thing, not a negative. So we want to know these are geared toward families. That's the part I don't know, whether this is. Okay.
Mr. Hughes,
All right.
can you come to the podium here and the microphone?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Patrick Hughes. I'm with DBL Law. I'm representing the development group on this project, the Bavarian Flats. With me tonight, I have Shad Sleto with Maris. Some of you may have known them as Al Nair. And I also have Jeremy Fogel, who's with Urban Sites. So Maris will design, build, construct the development, and Urban Sites will operate it, not dissimilar to the Hayden building, the old county city building. To your first question, Mr. Gastrite, this property was originally acquired by Kenton County as part of the development of the parking garage. I might go into too much detail, but so you can just go. So the county is losing significant parking underneath the expressway because of the Brent Spence project.
Right.
So in order to replace that parking, the Commonwealth contributed in the neighborhood of $9 million plus to assist with the development of the garage. The county decided that it would supplement that $9 million and build a garage that was structurally able to hold a building on top of it.
Gotcha.
The county then did an RFP to seek the developers to do that type of development, and Maris and Urban Sites were the successful proposers.
Gotcha.
The county had acquired a few houses along Main Street and MLK. They were not producing much tax revenue. Once the county took them, they were demolished and there was no tax revenue. But for this development, that property would not generate any ad valorem real property taxes at all because it would have been owned by the county.
Right.
The structure of this is the county will be granting the airspace above the garage and an at-grade parcel along MLK to the development group. I'm happy to go into the IRB structure, but as a result, that property will then become taxable because it's owned by a private entity. We will achieve the tax abatement via the pilot. So that's the structure there. I'd like to invite Jeremy to talk a little bit about the way that the apartments will be structured and how that might result in more families moving to Covington and potentially the school district.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. We're
Jeremy.
very excited to bring this project to Covington along the MLK corridor, something that our companies have conceptualized for a long time, and we're happy to be moving along with the entitlement process and to be in front of you today. So this project will feature a variety of studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom units. The allocation has been based upon research we've done in Covington, and we will have 31 2-bedroom units in this development. The units range in size from about 550 to 1,400 square feet. We will, grant access to this building to tenants of all nature, which may include families. We don't necessarily target a specific population, but given where we're located with access to 75, all of the construction that is going to be happening around there to make that area more accessible, we do expect a lot of tenants that are in the immediate area working in hospitals and other businesses that will be in the immediate vicinity, which we do believe could bring families to this development.
Great. I guess the only other thing I'd mention is certainly Covington is landlocked in the sense that we're not making any new real estate. So every parcel we bring online obviously contributes to the financial well-being of schools. And so we want to make sure that we find the fairest deal that we can that helps our city still grow, but also makes us whole in terms of being able to have the correct resources and facilities to educate kids. So we're kind of kicking off. We have a couple milestones. This is the 200th year of public education in Covington. So I would encourage you maybe if you get a mailing on that to consider contributing. We'll have a celebration in the spring for that. But also we just released a facility master plan, and part of that is creating some partnerships with people we work with to figure out how to best conceptualize, but also to build those facilities in the future. So I'll just put that out there. We look forward to partnering with you further in the future. And with that, I won't have any more questions. Thank you.
Congratulations on the 200 years.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
Ms. Williams.
Just a quick question about how long do you think it's going to take you to finish this? And the bridge is coming in, like you said, so it's getting ready to start. Is it going to be finished before the bridge comes?
I wish I could speak entirely on the bridge. I was to say on the bridge's timeline, but for us, we are expecting to break ground in short term. We're trying to mobilize and be on site by October when the podium atop the garage is finished, and our construction duration is about 13 months, which would lead us into February of 2027. We're expecting to have our certificate of occupancy at the end of February and start leasing up prior to, but for our first residents to move in at the end of Q1 in 2027.
We'll see.
We hope. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mr. Simpson.
Well, first, let me start by thanking you for the work that you've clearly put into this project. I can tell you spent some time with the city and make an intentional effort to make sure these are apartments or these are residential units that we need in the city and in the region. So first, I want to thank you for that. But with that in mind, I do want to better understand some of the details behind the affordability claims. You shared that a portion of the units in past presentations will be set at 80% of the area median income, which is great. But could you clarify to us which AMI you're referencing? Is it the HUD regional AMI, or is it county level? Is it city level? Do you know which?
This is the Kent County AMI levels.
Okay, so we're looking at the Kent County AMI levels. Along those lines, I think it would really be helpful if not just for me, but maybe for the community, if we could hear what that actually translates to in rental prices. So what would that 80% AMI rental property rental price be?
Sure. I can't speak to the actual data value threshold, but what I can do is explain a little bit about how these units will be priced. Of our development of 125 units, and we do have 17 of those that are at an 80% AMI level. And what that means for us is, it's not necessarily just the studios, 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, all of our rates are fluid based on the number of details within the building. Our studios are priced anywhere from 1,000 to in the realm of 12 to 1,300. We're still validating a lot of that detail as we continue to progress our design and move toward construction start. But 1 bedrooms as well, and all are in the range of $2 or sorry, let me back up. Our dollar average on this project is about $2.20 per square foot, and that's a culmination of all studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. Those studios, as I mentioned, from 1,000 up to 1,300, depending upon again where it is in the building, the size of the unit, and 1 bedrooms in the 14 to 16 range, and some again with varying features may reach outside of that average. And then our 2 bedroom units are priced proportionally to the 220 square foot, which is around 1,800 to 2,200 dollars per month. And the units that we have that are at that AMI level vary by type and size, as I alluded to. But we do not have any units that we don't have any units that are necessarily tied and structured to that 80% threshold, but we will have a number of units that will meet that data point and will be provided to those at that rate.
And that sounds like it's reasonable for Kenton County AMI. So the 1,000 to the 1,800 price point, it does sound reasonable. I will say that Covington's AMI is a little bit lower, and that would make the threshold of 80% for if you're looking at Covington's AMI to be about $1,100 as opposed to Kenton County's, which is about $1,500. So just keeping that in mind. Again, I will say that you've done a lot more than a lot of developers have in trying to make things affordable, and I commend you for that. I will say to the board that we still have some things that we need to do to make sure that it's even more affordable. You know my brand. I'm trying to be more affordable as much, because when you build affordable units in Covington, that builds community, that helps build community, that helps get kids in our seats. So we are in the right path. We're going the right way. So thank you for answering all my questions.
Ms. Edlin,
No questions.
is there a motion to approve the pilot agreement?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
Ms. Egan, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Edelman?
Yes.
Mr. Graystrike?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Hager?
Yes. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Yes. All right, we'll jump back into where we regularly were with the report of the treasurer. And Director Bershey is here for the tax rate discussion. Ashley's coming up for a presentation. I just want to thank Director Bershey for spending countless hours on the phone with me over the past month or so. As she just let me go through every crazy scenario that I keep coming up with and repeating back to her to make sure I understand exactly what she and the superintendent are proposing.
She's been counting the hours.
She has. She should. She should get overtime for this, Alvin. She should. But I would also encourage you, after her presentation tonight, I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions that all can't be answered tonight. So please find some time to set some one-on-one time with Director Bershey so we make sure we understand all the information at hand for this very important decision that we have to make.
Thank you. We are bringing you the tax information tonight. So this is information. So like Mr. Haggard said, any questions, please reach out to me and I will help you walk you through those questions and answers. Our budget for the budget will be brought back next board meeting. So you'll start getting into how I built the budget and how we normally do it. But then you'll be doing approval at that meeting really before you hear about the budget. It's just the timing is how the timing is. And so unfortunately that's how it is. So I just want to kind of remind people of that. And
Just real quick, can I make this?
Sure.
So, once Director Bershey receives information on our property assessments, that starts a clock of
45 days. Every year is a little different. And so this last year it was later. It was like the first couple days in August. This year, I think it was July 28th. So I reached out to Mr. Haggard and said, when would you like me to put this on the board agenda? I was leaving for vacation. He wanted me to do some crunching of some numbers, and we want to make sure we give you good, accurate data, and we didn't want to rush it. So that's why we didn't do it for the last board meeting when we had it. And so that's why it's kind of off cycle per Mr. Haggard. And so yes, it's 45 days. And so that 45th day is September 12th. So we are meeting September 11th. So I will have to turn around that paperwork and get it to everybody, and especially the sheriff that collects our taxes so that they can prepare the tax bills. So these are the documents you get every year. You get those KDE documents that come out. And so that's one of the documents there. Then you'll see the chart that Tom and I love. So that I put together, and I'll go over that chart in a minute, but I just want to tell you what the documentation you have. Then you have another spreadsheet that kind of takes some of those numbers that are on the chart so that you can kind of just see that little bit of the numbers. And then the last document talks about drilling down to each household. And so we'll go over the chart. So what I do is I reach out to all different parties to get all this data to put the chart together. I think Becky gave you a new one because it didn't print out very well in your packet. And so I have to reach out to find out what our average home is worth in Covington as well as commercial. So you'll see that up at the top. It's mentioned that our current tax rate is at 92.5. So I plug those numbers in and I say the current tax rate, how much it would cost per resident versus residential and commercial. Then we have the proposed 4%. So that is what leadership is proposing, is the 4%. And then I list compensating. And so I list some of those dollar amounts, what the average taxpayer will pay. Of course, every home is different. Some can be less, some could be more. It's the average. On the right-hand side, you'll see our property assessments, the trend for the last couple years. Motor vehicle, I put that in there as well, just so that you see those trends. The chart below that is the tax rates from last year, because everybody's going through tax season now, so I don't know what their board have approved. So that's always a year behind. So I try to put where we fall in with our surrounding school districts. The more important thing at the bottom, well, I should say one of the important things, is the revenue that I list. Revenue with various rates. The 24-25 tax revenue, that was around $21 million, and that includes the nickel. So we always have to remember that is not general fund dollars. So when we have our operation budget, which is general fund, that $21 million does not go into general fund. We have to take 2 nickels and put it aside for the building fund. So it kind of is misleading. And so we might be tweaking this chart in the future just to try to make it better. Tom and I were talking about that. But I want to just clarify, it's with the nickels. So all these rates are with the nickels. So you'll see the compensating rate, the dollar amount, the same rate as last year, which is that 92.5 dollar amounts listed. Then I list 4, 3, 2, and 1 and list all those. And so that third document you have is kind of just dumping those numbers in to show, so you can just see those numbers. And so that's generating that money, which then I have to take the nickel and put it in a building fund, and then the rest goes into general fund to help support our operations. So if you take the 4% that we are proposing, which is the 22.4 million, you take roughly off 2.5 for the nickels, and that's an estimate. It does fluctuate until KDE gives me those amounts. That means it's about $19.9 million, but that's on 100% collections. We never get 100%. They do a very good job of collecting our taxes. The trend is 96, 97. So I did it at 97% collection. So when you do that, it drops it down to $19.3, $19.4 million that will help the general fund. And our taxes is one of our biggest revenue streams, along with SEEK, to actually run the school system. So if I did that on the 92-point rate, those numbers kind of change. If you look at, I'm sorry, I think I quoted you. No, I quoted you 4%. The 92-point rate starts out at 21.8 million. You take off the nickel, which is about 2.4, so it's not that much difference when you do the 92. Then you do 97% collections. That's at like 18.9. So there's about a $500,000 difference from the 92.5 rate that we've been doing the last couple years and the 4%. And so I kind of wanted to kind of just give you some of those numbers as well, just showing what that money goes and puts into the general fund. Is there any questions on the chart or any other documents you would like to discuss?
I'll start on this side. Ms. Evelyn?
I don't think at this time during taxes, we just talk about it here. There is no narrative when you get the budget that I'll give to you. I show you a lot of the changes that happened from May budget to September budget and tell you increases and decreases. And then some of that stuff is the support of why we're asking for the 4%. So I'm looking for my notes so that I can answer your question, but it's not normally in the packet. We just usually talk about it. That's fine.
No, it's good because I think as Director Birchie talked about, we're getting this on a weird cycle where this is an information item from the taxes. We got to approve the tax rate on the 11th. We're getting the informational item on the final budget on the 11th to approve the final budget by the end of September. So we're just caught in this weird cycle. I mean, I just know in my conversations, I really pushed Director Birchie to be able to explain why we need to take the 4%. I think there are lots of potential reasons. I think that would be obviously a great kind of conversation on the one-on-one, and she can go like right into like real detail on.
So I'll give you a synopsis
Yeah.
right now. So I just want to gently remind people when you have an ending balance from 25, it becomes your beginning balance for 26 that just started on 7/1 of 25. It is your savings. I'm trying to think if you save up money to go somewhere and you start spending that savings, you don't have it again. So you knock into your savings. So contingency is part of that beginning balance that we try not to spend. And so when you look at what happened in 25, as I'm rolling up the numbers and trying to get ready for the audit and closing the year, we ate into some of our savings, and that to a tune of about $3 million, a little over $3 million. That is an outlier of a year. We normally don't, but that is one of the reasons we need to be very cautious moving forward, not to continue to go down that path. One of the reasons why we're like, okay, we ate into our savings, we don't have it to help build the budget for this year that started. So that is part of the why. That then made our contingency go down to 7.67-ish. Because I'm still balancing the budget. So these aren't exact numbers. Close, but not exact. And at last year, when we came to you in September, I came into you in September, we were able to go back up to 10%. That's why I'm always going to say, be an advocate, it gives us wiggle room if we put 10% in as a contingency for something like this that just happened in 25. And so I don't want that contingency to go down even more. It's another why. Balancing this budget, we took out the raises for next year. That if you remember the last couple years, I always did contingency plus try to put another holding spot for raises. We had to take that out to get you to the numbers I'm talking about now. That concerns me that I don't want to have to take that out completely and make my contingency go down even more. And so that asking for the 4%, that is why some of the other reasoning why that leadership is asking the why to do this.
That's helpful, and I'll schedule a follow-up to dig a little deeper. I appreciate you.
Mr. Simpson? Ms. Williams? Mr. Gastright?
Yeah, quick question. The average property value is identified on this as 124,000.
124, 244.
Do you know where that number came from?
I get some information from all the parcels. We have like 11,000 parcels.
Yep.
And I take the value and divide it by those parcels, and that's the average.
Okay.
I do the same side on the commercial,
Um,
which they don't have that many parcels, but
so it seems to me that with that average, the increase, if we took the 4%, comes out to $32.31 on the average.
yes, that is correct.
So that was my first question, and I guess I saw the note exonerations, which I don't know that we've gotten this information before. Maybe we have, but it stood out for me. You put exonerations being not paying taxes on part or all of the property. Do we get like a little bonus because some people?
What happens if people appeal things and then the appeal finally comes through and stuff? Exonerations can always be included, and so usually when we take the tax rate, I'll add the 0.2. Sometimes it's 0.1. KDE tells us it's on the reports, but like when you keep the rate the same at 92.5, like we did the last 2 years, we didn't get exonerations. It's revenue left on the table that really should have been ours when you don't take the exonerations.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. No further questions.
All right. As I said, one thing that I do want to put in your mind is that this board did approve an RFP to do a comprehensive review of our salary schedule, and so that's something that the budget committee is very intent to make sure that we can do a very comprehensive revamp of our salary schedule for going into next school year, as certainly a recruitment and retention tool. And so thinking about making sure that we're going to have the resources to actually, pay for that revamped salary schedule is something that's in my mind. Obviously, all of you know that I've been very adamant about taxes and about not passing on the burden to our taxpayers. But I've said that, I've never been someone who's just dismissing it out of hand. Director Birch and I have had some great, good-spirited arguments about it. But when it's necessary, it's necessary. And so I'm not saying I'm completely there yet. I understand the why the administration's asking for the 4% this year. So, like I said, I'd encourage you to set up a meeting with Director Birch, Superintendent, and kind of go deeper into the weeds and see something.
My only other reflection is as we're considering this, maybe to think about a communication plan to stakeholders about the usage in family-friendly language.
Thank you. Mr. Gastro.
Sorry, I didn't follow up with the news cycle, but City of Covington had a hearing on this. Do we know where they came out?
They have not. The city has not made a decision yet.
They just had
They've talked about it.
talked to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious if they had made any decision.
Certainly monitoring that as well. All right. Next, we have the monthly financials and the warrants. Anyone have any questions? A motion to approve.
I second.
You're fine.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Edelin?
Yes.
Mr. Gastrite?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yeah.
Mr. Haggard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Water.
Done. Would anyone like? Next, we have our consent agenda. Would anyone like anything pulled off the consent agenda?
Move to approve the
I
consent
second.
agenda.
Ms. Egan?
Ms. Edelin?
Yes.
Mr. Gastrite?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Yes. Mr. Haggard?
Yes. We have one more individual approval item, and that's the purchase agreement of 1923 House Street. I will point out in that memo, as it says, that this is contingent upon approval from the Kentucky Department of Education. I know Ms. Meehan and Mr. Neff are doing everything they can to run down all the bureaucratic checklists that we have to do to get approval from the Kentucky Department of Education to make this possible. But we want to move this for approval. I would just like to say thank you to Ms. Meehan. Thank you to Mr. Neff, especially for all their work behind the scenes to make sure we get to this place. So, any questions?
I move to approve.
I second.
Ms. Egan?
Ms. Edelin?
Yes.
Mr. Gastrite?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Yes. Mr. Haggard?
Yes. Thank you all. We do not have an addendum agenda this evening. Do we have a report of the attorney?
I have nothing to report. actually, I take that back. Just so for the public's benefit related to the purchase agreement of 1923, we will now, with this approval, enter into what's kind of a 90-day period of inspection. And that is where the work that Mr. Neff is doing in terms of securing things to effectuate the transaction occurs. And so I'm sure at some point he may be reporting back, or I will be reporting back, that those things have been finalized. But as the chair mentioned, there is quite a tedious process with KDE. However, district staff got ahead of it, and so hopefully it moves along quickly. The only other thing I'd like to report is that I would be calling for an executive session when appropriate.
Any board member discussion or comments?
I just have an update for the policy committee. The next meeting will take place September 10th from 3 to 4 p.m. virtual. The focus of the discussion will be on restorative justice practices. And in preparation of the October and future meetings, I think it could be helpful to have a fiscal analysis of the maternity leave policy. So if we could start the work on that, that would be great. And that's all I have.
All right. Can I ask Ms. Meehan for a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
You're gonna cite it first.
There we go.
Yeah.
That makes,
Okay.
I'm just jumping the
Ready
gun.
to go.
I like the enthusiasm.
I second.
Yeah, thank you.
I would call for a motion to move into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1 and with the following subsections: subsection B, subsection C, subsection F, subsection G, and subsection I.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and we are in executive session. We do not anticipate taking any action once we conclude our executive session. So we'll say good night to everyone here in the room and good night to everyone at home.